Hello there and welcome back to another review. So following on from New Police Story, I thought, we'd have a look at another Police Story vehicle, and that is Jackie Chan's second reimagining of the Police Story franchise, and that is Police Story Lockdown. Now, if New Police Story was a vastly different movie from the original, this movie goes even more different. Right here, they're trying to really mix it up. I think when people see the Police Story title or the Police Story moniker, there's certain things what people come to expect when they think of a Police Story movie, and this film is, like I say, if New Police Story was different, this film, Police Story Lockdown, is vastly different. Sometimes known as Police Story 2013 and directed by Sheng, who had worked with Jackie previously on Little Big Soldier. Now, much more darker in tone than previous installments, keeping the edge and dramatic elements there that we sort of got introduced to in New Police Story. And to be honest, this could have been called, like I mentioned, a different movie entirely. Yes, Jackie Chan plays the part of a mainland officer, but it didn't even necessarily need to have that title of Police Story in front of it. As I say, there are certain things that fans and Jackie Chan fans come to expect when they see a Police Story movie. I think the title Police Story in front of this, it probably is a bit misleading to some now. This is a movie that when I first saw it, I was a little disappointed with it. I must admit, it was still a very enjoyable sort of hostage action thriller from Jackie. And, I can say they were trying to do the whole hostage situation, a father and daughter trying to reconnect and throwing a few twists and turns here and there. But as I say, initially, I wasn't blown away by it. I was not sort of enamoured with this one. But having seen it multiple times since I originally saw it, it's not that bad. It's not all bad. Now, a lot of people over the years have complained like this movie is not funny enough or not enough action. I'm like I say, I know I mentioned Jackie Chan's age a lot, but I mean, Jackie was nearly 60 here. This was made, I think, when it was made, he was around 60. I think it's only right he wants to get out of the shackles of the kung fu comedy routine and try his hand at more dramatic, serious roles. And to me personally, I love Jackie Chan in serious roles. And I think, like I say, I think he was actually 59 here. But I think, where you're getting, he was nearly 60 or pushing 60, and it's like there's only so much your body will allow you, after so many years, allow you to keep falling, being kicked, being hit, jumping off of things, sliding down things, whatever it may be. But I think he was trying to get out of the shackles of that kung fu comedy and move into more serious roles. And I think he's, like I said in New Police Story review, vastly underrated as an actor. If you look at movies like The Foreigner, he's amazing in that. Crime Story, he puts in an amazing performance as well. Even New Police Story all show that Jackie Chan, the man can handle them more serious, hard-edged roles. My problem with this movie, it's not with Chan, but it's mainly some of the directing, editing and plot issues that I'll sort of go over and touch on the course of this review. I think one of the main gripes is it never feels like a hostage movie, even though it is meant to be one. It just doesn't really... it never really feels that tense in the movie. It never really feels like the people are in peril. Despite all that, though, I still enjoyed the movie, and at a stretch, you could argue it's sort of on par with New Police Story. I've spoken to people that actually prefer this one to New Police Story, but mainly because I think the reason for that is it just doesn't feel as bloated or as drawn out, and this is very much like a confined Jackie Chan movie, even if it is one that is sort of like a low volume if you think of it when it comes to action. And what was great about this movie is that the story unfolds as we go along. Like there is an effort in terms of the story. Some of the editing is a bit frantic and all over the place, which does hinder the movie slightly. We get a more suitable villain in Liu Yi and support from Jing Tian, and Jackie's she's like sort of Jackie's estranged daughter, and it really annoys me when people say, oh, there is CGI used. Oh, Jackie used a double in that bit. Oh, like it's a crap movie because there's not enough fights. It's like they have no problem with any other actor, any other movie star using CGI or using a double, but God forbid if Jackie Chan does in certain shots or certain things. It's like anybody would think he just dropped the 10 Commandments or something. Like it's honestly like people give sometimes Jackie Chan. I've seen reviews for this online, and it's like, oh, Jackie gets doubled a lot in this movie, 1-star review, and it's like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Nobody has any problems with like Schwarzenegger and people like that back in the 80s and 90s using a double on the vast majority, and you only need to watch like Die Hard 1 to see how many times Bruce Willis is like double. But you know, Jackie Chan uses a double in some shots at nearly 60. God forbid. You know, and he's not young anymore. You know, this is not the 80s. This is not like the Hong Kong golden age, you know. So it seems it's fine for Stallone and Schwarzenegger to use stunt doubles and CGI, but as I say, God forbid Jackie Chan does. And it's one of them movies that, although the replay value is not high, and some of the directing, editing isn't exactly the best, Chan still puts in, I would say, a stellar performance. And thanks to whatever, you know, I watch Police Story Lockdown. Whenever I do watch Police Story Lockdown, I do have a good time with the movie, even if it does run out of steam and it sort of trips over itself a little bit here and there in the end. I always thought that this movie could have had. It's almost like sometimes I watch this movie, and I remember the last time I watched it recently. I thought it's almost like it could have just done with having maybe another week or two just script revisions, you know, like in the writer's room before it went into production. It's almost like I just wish they'd just taken another 7 or 10 days just to go over the script once more, just to make sure it's sort of airtight, it's watertight, and it's going to work and everything like that. Everything's going to work, because there are moments, like I say, where it does sort of stumble over itself a little bit. The pacing and editing is sometimes a bit frantic and a bit jarring, but overall, if you watch Police Story Lockdown and you don't enjoy it, give it another couple of months, and then go back and revisit it. And it's sometimes them films, you know, when you sort of know what's coming and you know what to expect, you can sometimes, your expectations, you know, whatever they are, you've seen the film, you've got an idea of what it's about. So then sometimes give it a month, watch it again. You can probably find yourself, you might enjoy it a lot more than what you did the first time. So the first thing you see is what seems to be Jackie Chan sort of blowing his brains out, okay? And it's worth mentioning Jackie's hair in this is probably the shortest it's been for a long time, sort of up to this point. Even maybe, I would say, since sort of the original Armour of God in that opening sequence before he sort of had the accident. Jackie in this, he's on his way to the Wu Bar, and Jackie's character Zhong Wen has like a great sense of tiredness and fatigue about him, like a man who's been through and seen it all, which is fitting with the character. He gets shown around this bar by the owner, which has all these hip trendy people, much like New Police Story did, having that sort of old cop in a world or place that he doesn't really fully understand. Jackie meets his daughter, and he's not happy she smokes and she has tattoos, and he tells her about his day when he saved a jumper with like a bottle of water. And as the film goes on, you will notice that a lot of it is fleshed out due to flashbacks, okay? For better or for worse, a majority of the film, a chunk of the movie, is flashbacks. It's not just a continuous flashbacks, it's flashbacks to sort of different things. So yeah, Jackie plays Zong, and his character and his daughter is meant to be studying for an internship at the hostel, and she is dating the owner of the bar. And naturally Chan is fuming. Like I say, it's another one of them films where you see Jackie Chan really can act, and I think his performance here, I would say, argue, is probably better than New Police Story. I think his performance here is, as much as if you watch my review for New Police Story, loves his performance in that. Amazing performance. But I think even here, he does even better. I think he's, you know, a really emotional character in this movie. And we learn that his wife and her mum died, and the guy comes in screaming yells that he wants his money but gets taken care of, even though like sort of there's this scene and Chan was going to help. So Zong next gets knocked out by this guy in a creepy sort of like Santa Claus mask. Quite cool the way they do the take over the bar. Like we see it, what's good is that we see it through Chan's eyes, sort of in slow motion, and when he comes to, he's sort of tied to a chair. And I will say, for the most part of the film, it really does sort of suck you in. You do get drawn into the movie. Just sometimes, unfortunately, with the pacing and everything, it doesn't always quite pay off. But initially, the setup and everything, you are sort of drawn in. Wu Xiang, our villain, has phoned the police on Chan's phone, and we learn all about his background, and he tells Chan that he is the target. We then get a flashback of him taking out this sort of white-haired guy, Yu, at like a steel factory. And the film, and it's probably, this part here is probably the film's first real sort of action scene, I guess, even though it is a flashback and not happening in the sort of here and now. So Wu wants I've got Zoo Warriors on my brain. Wu wants 90 million. Chan is like, come on, be reasonable. Then we get a flashback of how he got shot with some bullet time for good measure, and him chasing this pickup truck which he sends flying when he shoots it after getting shot. Again, you will notice, this is where you notice the editing here can be very choppy, to say the least. It is quite choppy. So after struggling, Chan managed to loosen the wire that is holding him in place and on his chair, and he starts sort of sneaking around the club. It's sort of Metal Gear style, Solid Snake style, and meets his daughter in the toilets, and she sneaks him a phone. And like I say, a bit of a downfall of the movies. You feel no real threat for these people, these hostages. You don't really feel they're in a great deal of danger throughout the movie, even though they are hostages. You don't really feel like there's a huge amount at stake. You don't really feel like there's any massive danger. So we learn that Wu wants to see prisoner Wei Xiufu, and Chan has like a cool fight scene on the walkway with these goons, and he has like this like Sherlock thing going on where he predicts sort of the outcome in his head, and like we sort of see it. After getting beat, they throw Chan in this cage with like sort of the other hostages. We even get a flashback of how our villain was once a cage fighter and his name was Spider, and this is the thing with this movie, because the whole narrative is sort of limited to one location. You're in like basically this one spot in the present, in this one location. Too much of the exposition is just solely dependent on flashbacks to flesh these people out. So yeah, he sort of come to China. The police go to snipe him, but being as cunning as he is, he has some bulletproof glass, and sort of Chan tries to work on his weakness, saying, I can help you, and this is a stalemate. Him as a villain though, I just never buy into the fact he would actually ever shoot any hostages. I don't, when sometimes you've got to get invested and root for these people, sometimes the villain has to be, quite sadistic. He has to be a badass, he has to sort of be a nasty guy. But I just don't ever buy that he's going to shoot any. It just doesn't seem an evil enough villain who would do anything like that. He even lets Chan take some hostages out, but it's like, tell you what, fight one of my men to decide how many you take out. So, he's just being a nice guy. He's sort of like, just have a fight. You can take him out, but if you fight, I'll tell you how many you can take out. It just gives, basically, though, the whole reason for this is it just gives the film an excuse to have a fight scene. For some reason, we get real epic slow-mo shots of this guy kicking some bottles. They do really make the most of the slow-mo here, and it's quite an epic fight scene. The novel being Chan is actually doing a cage fight. That's the whole gimmick here. Jackie Chan is having a cage fight. Locks, breakers, grapples are all evident here. And the twist is Chan actually loses at first, and it's the whole idea he is sort of fighting for the hostages. No guarantee, of course, that our villain Wu is going to keep his word. Chan in the end wins, and Wu keeps to his words, even letting the guy and his girlfriend walk free. And Chan wants one of Wu's men let out too, as he is injured. So once out, we meet Rongguang as the police chief. Jiao, the guy Wu wants to see, agrees to go in, as the police have been sort of donating to his family. One thing you also notice, the film has quite rocky, almost sort of metal type score music going on through it. They put Jiao in like a bomb disposal suit. Chan goes in with him as he is they sort of put him in this bomb so he doesn't get shot. Like when they goes into the club, and Chan goes in with him, and they try to so as I say, they break him in, and sort of the team sort of come in through the roof. Then the plot thickens even more with Wu mentioning a baby sister that he lost. And what is clever, they make it about this incident that happened at a drugstore. Just one incident, because up until now the film has been pretty vague in terms of motives and drives, and sort of Zhao was stealing drugs for his mum, and I do like the real nice subtle things, like they make Jackie's eyes bloodshot as well. At this drugstore, Wu's sister was there, who got involved and was taken hostage. As Chan walks in, we learn he was distracted as the hospital was calling him about his wife. So it turns out basically she was pregnant and wanting sleeping pills, but she has this blade to her neck, and actually turns up sort of taking her own life. Sort of rushed through that a bit quick, and it basically transpires Chan actually put the hostage situation before his own wife too. So the film does ramp up at this point, with Chan's comrades drilling in and watching if Wu's going to grab his gun. But basically as well, the whole place is rigged with bombs as well. So it turns out that the boyfriend who got her pregnant was also the bartender and one of the hostages, and Wu hated him as he made her pregnant. So we have the typical overprotective brother storyline going on with this, which once you learn that, it's all like, oh okay, You know what I mean? It's really like they try to make it like a mystery and like a big reveal, but it's okay. It's just not a great one. It's not like a great twist. And it turns out he broke up with her, and that's why she was sort of traumatised. But make no mistake, what actually starts as something by the numbers turns into something that at least has some intelligence. And there is some thought being put into it there. So Wu goes down like this slide, and Chan's daughter, who chases after him, look when he has the knife pressed against his daughter's throat. Like, if you watch that bit where it's sort of the knife's against her throat, like, it's proper digging in. Like, this thing is proper digging into her throat. So he basically gives him an ultimatum: shoot yourself and your daughter can live, right? This is how sort of the movie ends. If you shoot yourself, your daughter can live. So he goes to, but Wu has removed the bullet. But after a fight, he does actually shoot Chan and wants to get run over by a train. Though it sort of changes tracks, and Jackie gets taken off in an ambulance, and Spider sort of leaves his calling card. And that sort of wraps up the movie. Sort of crashed through it a little bit at the end there. But it's not a perfect movie, and it's definitely a lot more sort of, I would say, heavy than most Jackie Chan vehicles. It really doesn't need, like I say, the Police Story title in front of it, and does have some, like I say, choppy editing here and there. And without Jackie in this movie, I hate to say it, but it would be probably largely forgettable. I think if Jackie weren't in this movie, I don't think it would even be memorable in the slightest. But the fact you've got Jackie Chan in this movie, he does put in a great performance. The fact there are a few twists and turns in the plot, it does hold your attention. It's just, again, like I say, there's certain things you come to expect from a Police Story movie, and I always thought this movie could have just call it Lockdown, or anything like that. I don't think it necessarily needed the Police Story sort of moniker like title in front of it, I'd say. But thanks to a great performance and a somewhat unusual plot, the film does keep you guessing and interested, even if it's not a film you sort of rush to go out and watch again, like sort of instantly after. It's one of the movies you'll watch it and you probably won't want to see it again for a while. But like I say, if you watch it and you don't enjoy it, sometimes it's worth giving movies a second chance. If you're not too sure on them, or you think, I was a bit disappointed with that, sometimes give it 2 or 3 months, watch it again and see if you do like it. But if you have seen Police Story Lockdown and you didn't like it, watch it again and let me know if it's changed your view in it, or do you just still think it's rubbish? But let me know what you think of Police Story Lockdown. Actually, what do you think is better, Police Story Lockdown or New Police Story? Out of the two, which one would you prefer, both in terms of action, performance, plot, everything? Let me know in the comments below which one of them two is your favourite Police Story. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.